Hello everyone, welcome back to welcome to the first video that we'll be doing on this channel. We'll be learning about today grid reference. Now grid reference, what is grid reference? Grid reference is used to locate parts on a map. Good. And we use grid reference oftentimes to show where the location of a particular place is. Right? Right? No. As we would continue, right? So we have two parts of the grid. Now, grid reference, of course, we would need a grid. Now, we have two parts to the grid. We have the northings, which are the horizontal lines, and we have the eastings, which are vertical lines. Now, if you notice, the eastings, they increase as you go towards the east, meaning that you're going towards the right. So if you notice 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Meanwhile, the northings would be the horizontal line, and they increase as you go northwards, or they increase as you go upwards, right? Right? Now, a particular rule. Now, we would use two types of grid references. We would use the six-figure grid reference, or we would use the nine-figure grid reference. Point of correction, six-figure or four-figure grid reference. I'm sorry for that mistake. Good. Now we would need to locate places with this. So for example, I'm going to be pretending that I'm creating a place. So for example, I'm going to create K. Right, that little dot right there. I'm just pretending that there is K. So I'm going to call it K. Good. Now, what would be the four-figure grid reference? So we're going to do the two times. First, we're going to start at the four-figure grid reference, right? Okay, so first, we would have to be locating so first, we would locate the eastings. And the eastings, the rule is that the eastings are always read first, as seen right here. That's the general rule. Now we'll be looking at firstly the eastings. Now, what would be the eastings? The eastings would be the vertical lines, right? So that is what is read first. Now, based on this, or where the position is, where is the K? Right? Of course, the K is on 22. So we'll be writing 22. Right? Or maybe let me give a better hold on. So of course we know that it would be at 22. I'm just going to use text here, right? So it would be 22. Now, looking at this, what would the northing line be? Right? What would be the next two figures? And based on this, you can see that it's on 41. So 41, it would be, right? So 41, and it's as simple as that. Now that is the four-figure grid reference. It's as simple as that, right? So now we're looking at the six-figure grid reference. We looked at the four-figure before, and now we're looking at the six-figure now, right? Alrighty. Now let's say we're going to do a different place. Let's choose a different place. Right? Now, if we're doing the six-figure grid reference for K, then it would have been the same thing. It wouldn't change. The only thing that would change is that it would be at 0, meaning that there is no, it's just directly at the line. I'm going to show you what I mean in a few. right? So normally for the 6-figure grid reference, we would estimate 10, right? So we would divide the line or the little grid right here into 10, right? Just giving an estimation, right? We don't have to draw any little lines or anything, just giving an estimation. No, we would say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? If it's right here, you know, say around 2 or 3, or if it's right here, you know that it's about 5. So we would estimate basically. Now for K, like how it's directly on the line right here, we would say that it's 0 because it hasn't moved from the line, right? So it would be at 0. So basically, both areas, whether northern line or the eastern line, it doesn't change. It's right there at the intersection. So it doesn't move. So it'd be classified as a 0. So 22, 0, 41, 0. Good. So that would be the 6-figure grid reference. I'm going to do another example. Let me erase this one here. I'm going to do another example. So I'll be doing, say R. I'm going to put R right here. This is R. Right? This is R. I want to know the 6-figure, well, the 4-figure grid reference firstly for R. Now, the 4-figure grid reference, of course, you would know the part that it's nearest to, right? The part, so basically this box right here, and remember, we're doing it based on the rule that eastings are read first. So we're going to look at it from the eastings point of view first, right? So remember that since you have 20 and 21 right here, there will be decimals, right? So whether 20.0, 20 point this, 20 point that, right? So 20.1, 20.2, 20.3, 20.4, 20.5, 20.6, 20.7, 20.8, 20.9, and then 21, right? So that's how we would handle it. So the eastings, how we would read the eastings, the one that it is behind. That's how I see it. The one that it is directly behind, or the one that is in front of it, not the one that it's behind of it. Because remember that, let me maybe draw some little lines right here. There are not 10 lines, but yeah. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Of course, they're not equal. I'm just estimating, right? And this would be 10. So that's the way how we see it. We're just estimating. And of course, it would be at 20 right here, because it hasn't reached 21 as yet. It's still in the box within 20, whether 20.1, 20.2, whatever. Now, the 4-figure grid reference, of course, you would see that it's at 20, right? 20. I'm just going to use my freehand right here. 20. Now, looking at looking at the northern line, right, which is read like this: 1, 2, 3, going upwards, right? Now we would look at it from that point of view. 41 right here was erased. Let me put it back. All right, so the same principle applies. You basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, right? So dividing it into 10, basically imaginary, like it's just an imaginary line. So whether 41.2, 41.3, 41 point, whatever it may be. Good. Now, if you notice, it is the line that is directly behind of it would be the correct reference to use. It hasn't yet reached 42. 42 is still up there. It's just past 41. So you would not use 42 because it's not at 42 yet. Remember, we read it based on it going upwards. So therefore, it means then that if it has not reached this line as yet going upwards, then 41 would be the correct reference to use. So the 4-figure grid reference for this would be 2041. Now moving on to the six-figure grid reference. Now, six-figure grid reference, basically, you can just put in the digits for the first one because we know that this is already 20. Now, where the estimation comes in is when basically you divide this section, because remember, we work with decimals on a normal basis, and we know that there's not a direct the 21 does not necessarily come directly after 20, right? So we are going to divide this distance into 10 and basically estimate it. So for example, R is right here, right? So we're just estimating it based on how it looks. We would say that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Based on how it looks, we could say that, safely say that it's in the middle, right? Because we divided this into 10, and based on how it looks like it's in the middle somewhat. So it would be 25. Hold on, let me use a different I'm going to use a different number so that I won't confuse you, right? So moving on to the next part. Now, the we're going to move on to the northings line, which are the horizontal line, of course. Now, as we said before, the northings line would be at 41, but what is the exact location of it, right? So this, of course, we would do the normal division, which is from 1 to 10, and the normal division from 1 to 10 would be, if you basically look at it, it looks like it's in the middle. So once it looks like it's in the middle, then it must be 5, right? Because it's in the middle. Good. Now, that's how we do the grid reference. The 4-figure grid reference just gives a particular area, and the 6-figure grid reference give the exact location, give the exact town, right? So the 6-figure grid reference is what we normally use basically to identify specifically, right? So this is just like the foundation, just learning the basics, and then we move on deeply into the 6-figure grid reference where you find the exact location. So general summary, right? The 4-figure grid reference, sorry, basically tells just an area, right? So if you know that the R is right here, then the number that it has passed, read it from upwards, like it goes, read it based on it increasing upwards. So we know that it hasn't reached 42 as yet, so it must be 41. So of course 41. And the area, what is the error that I just did there? I identified the northings first. Now, please ensure that you don't make this error, wherein you would name the the northings first. The eastings lines, which are the vertical lines, should be identified and should be read first. Now let's look at the eastern line. Based on this, we know that it hasn't yet reached 21. It's somewhere in the middle, right? It's after 20, so it must be 20. So this 4-figure grid reference will be 2041. And of course, the same applies here. It's just that you're going to put some numbers in the middle, right? So 20 what? Where is it exactly? If you notice, it's in the middle right here, basically at 5, so we would name it 25. And 41, now for the 41 grid reference, you would notice that it is at 41. You notice it's in the middle right here directly, so we call it 5 again, right? So that is all you need to know about the grid reference, right? Now, I am going to be using this map. This is the map of St. James, Trelawney, the upper part of Jamaica, right? So we're going to see if we can find out the grid reference, right? I'm just going to choose a random particular location. And let's just say, let me zoom in a bit. Good. So let's say we want to know the grid reference for Davistown, which is right here. We want to know the exact grid reference for Davistown, right? Now, firstly, we would need to know all of the lines around it. We would need to know the Northings line and we would need to know the Eastings line, right? So let's go upwards to see which, right? So this is, hold on. Yes. So we want to know about Davistown. Here it is right here. No, this is 29. I'm just going to write it. Hold on. So this is 29, this is 30. Let me go over to the side to see what basically is the easting line, right? Okay, so I found it, right? So this line is 29, 30, 58, 57. So as we said, we want to know Davistown. Oh Lord, I just went in too much. Okay. Okay, so I just did it like that to just give a better look. So this is Davidstone right here. Right, that black dot. I just put that black dot right there. Good, so we want to know what is the 6-figure grid reference. First thing, we should note the eastings are always read first. The eastings are always read first. And what are the easting lines? The horizontal lines. So we know that over here is 29, over here is 30. I'm sorry for the, yeah. So over here is 29, over here is 30. So therefore, over here, we would have, so if you notice that it's still within the 29 range because it hasn't yet reached the 30 line. Good. So based on what we see here, if we should estimate basically, this would have been the middle. This would have been the middle of the middle. This would have been the middle of the middle. Then middle of the middle, middle of the middle, middle of the middle, middle of the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, need to just draw out a line. Right, you can just estimate it. Doesn't have to be that accurate. But based on how you see Davistown, you could say that it's about 9 because it's near to the next line. Then you would of course estimate it. You don't even have to write grid lines mostly. You just estimate it in your head and you just say that, guess what? This is 9. So of course the grid reference, let me put it in a big color. I'm going to put it right here. The grid reference is 29, 9. Right? Let me put. Good? Yeah. I'm going to put it right here in that section. Now we know the grid reference for the northings, which is the not northings, sorry, the eastings. So which are the vertical lines. Now let's look at the horizontal line. Now we know that here is 57 and we know that here is 58. So horizontal lines, right? So let's look at Davistown. Based on how you see Davistown, then you don't even need to write the lines. You can see that it has not yet reached the 58 line. This 58, yeah. So based on how you see it, it's near. Just as how it's near for the 29, it's also near for the 57. It's very near to the 58 line. So you could just estimate this and say that, guess what? It's 9 as well. Good. So we're going to simply say 57, right? 9. Now, this right here is the 6-figure grid reference for Davistown. And I'm going to do another one. I'm going to do another one that is within that range. Let me clear. All right, I'm not going to do Davistown this time. Let me do another one. I'm going to be doing, say, retirements. Let me put back there because I would tend to forget the lines. So let me put back the lines so that I would remember, right? All right, so I'm going to be doing retirements. So of course I know that list line is 29. Uh-oh. I know that this line would be 29. I'm going to erase those numbers soon. This then, because remember they increase as you go eastwards, so this then would have been 28. This then would have been 27. It would be the same line, same horizontal. Let me erase these. So this would be 58. And we say we want to locate, I'm just going to estimate retirement to be right here. Good. We just want to know the general area, right? So let me erase this grid reference right here and put in another grid reference. Now, when we look at this, when we look at where retirement is, we can say that, guess what? Remember, first things first, we should be naming the Eastings line first. So the Eastings line is the vertical lines. Now, of course, we look at this and we can see that it has not yet reached the 29. So we know that it's within the range of 28, right? So we don't even have to write the lines, as I said before. Based on how this looks, you can see that it's fairly in the middle. It's fairly in the middle. Let me just draw a line right here. Well, I don't need to draw one. It's fairly in the middle because the middle is right here. If you should cut it around right here. And when I cut it, I'm saying it's not directly in the middle. So it doesn't look directly in the middle. So I'm saying, okay, then it must have been 6 because it's near to the middle, it's directly near to the middle, but it's not in the middle, right? So then we could safely say that the grid reference right here could be 28, 6, right? CXC doesn't normally penalize you for these figures because it's normally estimation. So one figure off is normally acceptable, right? So I mean, based on how you see here, it would be 6 because it's directly near to the middle, but it's not directly in the middle. Good. Now let's move on to the northings line. Now the northings line, as we can see, it increases upwards. So we would know that it has not yet reached the 58. It's still within the 57 range. Now, I am going to be estimating it, sorry, based on what we see right here. Let's estimate it. So we can say right here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. estimate it right there. And what I normally do, you don't have to even draw the lines. You can just simply cut the grid in half, imaginary, right? When I cut the grid in half, I realized that guess what? It's not in the half line either, it's above. And not only is it above, but it's directly beside that line, that half line. So, of course, once it's directly beside that half line, then it must be 6. Good? It must be 6. What else could it be? Right? So, I'm going to be saying then that it's 57, 6. Right? So I'm going to be doing one last one. One last one. This time I'm going to do one that doesn't have such similar. I'm going to be doing Kingsgate. Right? I know they may, I'm going to be doing Kingsgate. Right? So we'll put that right there. Good. So let me delete this grid reference right here. So, right. So I'll be doing Kingsgate. So I see Kingsgate and I realize that Kingsgate is within the range of 28. It has not passed 28. So remember Easting's line first, right? And when we estimate Kingsgate, let me kind of draw the Kingsgate right here. Kingsgate is, let me put it in the middle right here. Good. Kingsgate is what you say now. When I draw the half line, it's way far from the half line, but when you notice, it's near to 28. So persons, this can be debatable. Persons are going to say 2, persons are going to say 1. Well, to me, it looks more like 2, right? So I would write 2. So this would be then 28, 2. Good. And let's go towards the northings line now. So the northings line, I realize that guess what? It is near when I draw the half line between the 57, sorry, and the 58. I notice that it's not near to the 57, it's near to over here. Now when I cut it in half, I notice that it's near towards the end. If I should, so 6, 7, 8, right? So I would notice that it's 8 because I cut the half line here and I just said 6, 7, 8, right? So that looks to me, persons can say 9 as well. Some persons can even say 7, right? So to me, it looks like 8, right? So I could simply say 57, 8. Good. So that is how you would do the 6-figure grid reference for map work, right? So I hope you learned something from this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And please subscribe, share this as you can. Give me your suggestions as to the type of videos that you would want to see. And I'll see you in the next video.